My name's Mary Coupland, and welcome to The Road Ahead. Through a series of guests, we're going to help you navigate your own road ahead as you age. We will help you and your aging parents prepare for your journeys. Let's face it, nobody wants to find themselves in a crisis mode simply because they did not have access to information well in advance. As the publisher of Compass and Clock, we're going to help you achieve your best future. Today, our guest is Dr. Robin Fiscus of Simply Hear. Robin is a doctor of audiology, and for over 15 years, she has been providing, this is a tongue twister, providing hearing health care for those with hearing loss. She's a veteran preferred provider, an active member in the Bremerton Rotary, and is compassionate about providing superior hearing health care. Now, Robin has been on the show before. So if you did not catch the episode with Robin and I discussing veterans benefits as it pertains to hearing healthcare, I highly encourage you to go to the BCAT website, which is bkat.org, or the Compass and Clock website to watch that episode. Robin, welcome to the show today.
Thanks. It's so good to be here.
I'm so glad you came back.
Me too.
Because you have so much to share with us. So today, we're going to talk about tinnitus and helping loved ones with hearing loss.
Right.
So let's just jump right in, and can you tell us what is tinnitus, and also, am I pronouncing it correctly?
Yeah. So I say tinnitus, but you can say tinnitus. There's no right way to say it, but I just say tinnitus, so that's how I pronounce it. About 15 to 20% of the population has tinnitus that's bothersome. It's so severe that they notice it and can't run away from it. Most of us have it now and again, so it's all of us have tinnitus in some form, but the severity is what brings it to the forefront of a healthcare problem, right? The underlying cause of tinnitus is generally noise exposure. So I think we talked about veterans in the past one, and lots of vets have had a lot of experience with noise exposure, jet engines and guns and weapons and firing, and people who've worked in construction sites. They have so much noise exposure, musicians, and because of that noise exposure, there becomes damage in your cochlea, and that damage is these tiny little hair cells, thousands of little hair cells that literally get bent or broken. The damage causes physical, you can see it under electron microscope. I've seen it, where these tiny little hair cells are all just sheared, the tops off of them. And because of that damage from noise, a person perceives an internal tone or a sound. And those little hair cells are creating this sound, but only they perceive it. You can't hear it, and I can't hear it. Only the person who has it can hear it.
Okay, so what does it sound like, though? What does tinnitus or tinnitus sound like in somebody's ears?
I ask people all the time, what does it sound like to you? Most of the time people say it's wing. So you'll hear people say it's a ringing in my ears. It's not really a ringing, it's not a phone ringing, it's not a bell ringing, it's just a tone. And frequently, like if we do a pitch matching test, which means like I'm going to provide you with 10 tones and you tell me which one you hear. Which one matches the one that you hear. Most of the time it's up around 6,400, 6,500 hertz. So it's not always there, but that's frequently where people hear it. Other times people hear a roaring noise, a buzzing. I've heard people say crickets, got a whole jungle internally going on there. And if you have hearing loss, my suggestion for anybody who's concerned about tinnitus is go to an audiologist like myself, go to a hearing healthcare provider and get your hearing tested. And if you have hearing loss and you have tinnitus, hearing aids may benefit you, and a fringe benefit of those hearing aids is that the tinnitus is minimized. I mean, most people don't say it's gone, doesn't fix anything, it's not a guarantee, it doesn't go away completely, but they'll say like, well, normally it's right here, it's like right here in the center of my head, or I hear it in the back of my head, or very close by, I can't get away from it. Anytime there's no other noise, I hear this tone in my head. Once you get hearing aids, you don't hear it anymore. Or you have to focus, like really listen for it. It's way down the hall. To try to hear it again.
Where did that noise go?
Yeah, there's like a masking effect, and those little hair cells are being stimulated, and so all the sounds around you that you should be hearing anyway are suddenly amplified, and you don't hear that internal noise anymore.
So you answered some of my questions in what you were just saying there. So if somebody feels that they have it, they should go get their hearing tested. But what if you get the, I'm not sure how I should ask this. You're explaining that based on your exposure, you could get this,
Yep.
but does it only come about when you hit a certain age? Like, is it only susceptible to seniors and to elderly?
That's a good question. No, anybody who's worked around a lot of noise, there is age-related tinnitus, and so some people just over time start noticing it. And for that type of tinnitus, most people can ignore it. I mean, there are things that will exacerbate the sound, like stress, caffeine, lack of sleep. Stress is a big one. Aspirin, there's ototoxic drugs. So if you feel like you take your high blood pressure medication or your antibiotic and then suddenly you can't get rid of this tone, you should go to your doctor and say, is this a side effect of a medication that I'm taking? So there are these things. Sometimes wax. Sometimes people have wax that's touching the eardrum and then they hear this thing. So there's a few things that can cause tinnitus that you can sort of fix. Most of the time that's not the case. And I've had vets who are in their early 20s who were active combat and come through my office and they have debilitating tinnitus. And most of the time what happens for them is they go through the VA process, we talked about this last time, and they'll get hearing aids that have a feature inside the hearing aids that is dedicated to that particular issue. And when it becomes a problem, they go on their phone, get the app, go to the program that's focused on their personalized tinnitus program, and it's pretty helpful for them.
So if somebody has ringing or noise in their ear, they should get their hearing tested.
Get your hearing tested.
Reasons for this to come about is noise exposure.
Noise exposure. Limit your noise exposure. If you already have tinnitus, limit your noise exposure.
There's also tinnitus for folks that are aged. They might get age-related tinnitus. So that gives us a lot of great information on that. So let's jump over to the other topic today too that has to...
One more thing I just want to write out there. I know sometimes people Google tinnitus. It is associated, it's an underlying cause of a lot of other things. People who have migraines often have tinnitus. People who have Meniere's disease have tinnitus, TBIs. So don't go Googling it. You will freak yourself out. You will think you have all kinds of terrible things. And then there's a lot of bad information on the internet about what might help tinnitus. There is no research that shows that it can ever be cured. There's no nutrient, there's no pill, so there's no meditational exercise you can do to get rid of it. So I just want to throw that out there. It's not, see your healthcare provider.
Definitely, yes.
See someone who can provide you with like real, true, honest, researched information.
Perfect. Now we're still dealing with hearing loss here.
Right.
So if somebody has a loved one or themselves that has a hearing loss, what are tips that you can give to help that other person? So here's a perfect example. I have hearing loss, and I've been seeing you and you're working with me on this. And even though I tell my family they know that I have a hearing loss, they will still ask me questions when I'm at the kitchen sink washing dishes and the fan's on over the stove and they're in the other room.
That's right. That is a very hard situation. So you have to understand there's microphones that are on your ears. And just like the microphone that we're wearing right now, it only picks up what's about 6 inches away from the microphone. That's how microphones work, okay? So even though the best, latest and greatest hearing aids on the market have directionality, which means that you can change whether they focus forward or pick up everything around them or just focus on the sound and try to minimize background noise. A very intelligent hearing aid recognizes background noise as a digital envelope. So it might hear a fan or, in your case, water running because you're doing the dishes, or maybe there's a TV or something going on in the background, and it recognizes that this looks like a steady state noise that you don't necessarily want to hear. And so your hearing aids can minimize background noise. But then if somebody talks to you and they're more than 15 feet away, that hearing aid doesn't know that that's what you really want to hear.
Right, my back's turned, I'm washing dishes.
That's right. And so that is the future of hearing instruments, honestly. I mean, that is the perfect situation where almost everybody who has them will tell you they have a hard time.
So the tip would be that
you have to
they should
educate
come
your
into the
family.
room and
You have to
talk
educate
to
your
me
family.
face to face.
That's right. You have to have realistic expectations of what these instruments can and can't do. And so bring your family into my office. I'll explain how they work. I mean, there are tips. First, face-to-face interaction is absolutely the best. So let's say that I know somebody has hearing loss. My husband's deaf, and every now and again I will yell down the hall to him. And when he doesn't respond, why am I frustrated? Why do I, as an audiologist, why am I even like surprised that would happen? Mm-hmm. So I honestly just try not to do that. I try to go up to him, I get his attention, I say, I need to talk to you. And he focuses on me and he doesn't think about anything else and he looks at me and he gets 100% of what I say. And that it takes minimal energy on my part and it minimizes frustration. So really, or turn off the background noise. You know, if you have a TV on, mute it. And then have a conversation.
So face to face, be in the same room with them.
Definitely.
Acknowledge the fact that they have a hearing loss and work with them.
That's right.
Everybody will be happier. They can take part in the conversation. So we're about out of time, believe it or not already, but I definitely wanted you to share any hearing healthcare tips, you know, to help people have better hearing health care. What can they do for themselves?
Okay, well, just briefly, I brought a little bit of information along that I wanted to bring up. That hearing loss.
Turn it towards your camera. Maybe they can zoom
Treating
in on it.
untreated hearing loss can lead to depression, which is associated with an increased risk of premature death. Studies show older adults with untreated hearing loss have shorter lifespans than peers with hearing problems who wear hearing aids. There's also a lot of research that's going into dementia and cognitive decline.
Yep.
And I would say, if we were to do this again, this would be my focus, that I feel like being able to hear better keeps you in the conversation. It encourages people to socially interact, keeps your brain healthier. When someone asks you if they want to go out to dinner and you have hearing loss and you don't have any hearing aids, people tend to withdraw and say, no, it's not going to be any fun for me. I'm not going to be able to participate in the conversation. I don't want to go there. It makes me feel bad.
So pick a restaurant, though, then that's not noisy. Pick a quiet, out-of-the-way
Yes.
place.
I would like to be on a review of going to restaurants and picking out restaurants that you can hear in.
Why not? Let's go do it, right?
Okay, yeah, we could go out.
So to wrap this up, the tips would be taking care of your health, walking, understanding.
Exercise, go to a hearing healthcare provider. I'm an audiologist with a practice in Bremerton, and we provide free consultations for anybody who has any questions and a complimentary hearing screen. So if you're interested, you can go to Simply Hear. And I'm Robin Fiscus, and I'm happy to talk to anybody about any questions they have about tinnitus or cognitive decline or options for hearing aids, get you on a veteran, into the system.
And for
my
those of you that are watching too, and you have loved ones out of the area, they should research their local audiologist because most of them are as compassionate as you, and they do have people come in for hearing tests, etc.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Well, that's it for today, folks. Robin, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. And until the next time, we'll see you again. Take care of those ears.